All right, so in this one, we're going to add slug fields to our job and location and employer stuff so we can better access it from a URL. So I'll do slug equals to models.slugfield, and we'll leave it as that. There we go. So we added this slug field in, and now what I want to do is actually create the pre-save signal and have it actually set the slug field based off of the job text as well as the location based off of the name and so on. So we'll import it, and it goes from django.utils.text import slugify. So let's go ahead and define these functions. So pre-save job, and this is going to be, of course, a pre-save signal, and it's going to take a sender instance and then other args and keyword args. And all I really want to do is instance.slug is equal to slugify text, or self.text, instance.text, that is. So what slugify does, if we look at the documentation, it just turns something like a string like that into a slug like that, which is really cool, very simple, very easy to use. So let's add in the pre-save signal, and if you forgot where the import is, it's just, we can go to another one where we used it, which was profiles, and I'm going to bring this in right above here actually, and now I'll just do presave.connect, and it's going to be presave job, and then sender equals to job. Okay, this whole thing is virtually the same for each one, so I'm just going to come down and save it as each one. Pre-save location. The only difference here is name, employer, pre-save employer, name. All right, so let's make the migrations here. So Python manage.py, make migrations. And it's saying that we can't have, it has a non-nullable field, so slug can't be null. And that's even more reason to do pre-save because it cannot be null. So let's provide a one-off value now. And I'll just say ABC-123. Oops, sorry, ABC-123 as a string. And we'll do this a few times. All right, and now we do Python manage.py and we migrate. Cool, so let's go ahead and run the server again. So Python manage.py, run server. Let's go into our admin, and let's go and take a look at the jobs. So we've got self. If I hit save and continue, it changes the slug automatically for us. So each one would do that. And that's what we want to see. So self is coming in twice here, but that's because of the location. And again, based off of the employer. So each one is going to come through and be nice and useful for us as far as how we want to use these links. So when it comes down to it is we are trying to make it so these links are easier to grab. So it's easier to actually go to these places that are existing. All right, so if we go back into jobs, same with these, right? So we can, this is definitely not the most efficient method to do this, but it's one way. Let's actually do a more efficient method. Python manage.py shell, and we'll do from jobs.job, from jobs.models, import job, and then I'll do for j in job.objects.all, j.save, and then we also want to import maybe location for I in location.objects.all, oops, I.save. And let's exit out of the shell. Python manage.py, run server. Let's go into locations now, click on any of them, and now they'll have the right slug. Okay, So now that we have these slugs, we can actually do something with them when it comes to actually trying to link to these. So that means that when I want to actually go to any of those pages, let's go into where we actually render this, which is in views for our newsletter. Coming through, we're getting these match objects and then these position match objects, of course, position, locations, and employers. And each one of those is coming from our matches, but if we look in our templates, or let's look in the matches first. So in here, we can actually get instead of the job text, we can also get the job slug, right? So the slug of whatever that job is. So I could say, define get match URL self. Remember, this is the match URL or the job URL, but I'm going to call it match URL because that's really what it is. It's some sort of match, and we're going to return reverse. We don't have reverse in here. We did not actually import it yet. So from Django.core.url resolvers import reverse. And now we'll return reverse of, well, some URL name that we don't have yet, but let's say job view URL and keyword args equals to, and we'll say slug, and it's going to be self.job.slug. So that's what that match URL is going to be. And I'm going to make this a property of this function, or of this instance, so we can just easily get it. And I'm going to do the same thing with employer match and location match. So job view URL, employer match view URL, and then location match. And this time it's self.location.slug, and then self.employer.slug. It's going off of that employer, and then this one we'll call it job match view. Okay, so we're going to leave it at that. We actually don't have these reverses, so we can't actually show them. But once we do have those reverses, we'll be able to show them. So in the next one, we will create the views and URLs associated to how we can actually see any particular slug that might come up with these position matches. All right, so if you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, let's keep going.